Franklin Pierce was the 14th President of the United States, serving from 1853 to 1857. He was a member of the Democratic Party and served as a senator from New Hampshire before becoming president. Pierce was born in Hillsborough, New Hampshire in 1804. He attended Bowdoin College in Maine, where he studied law and became active in Democratic Party politics. After serving as a representative in the U.S. House of Representatives and a U.S. Senator, Pierce was nominated as the Democratic candidate for the 1852 presidential election. He ran on a pro-slavery platform and was opposed by many Northern Democrats, but by relying on Southern Democrat support, was able to win the election. As president, Pierce worked to further the interests of the slave-holding states and tried to extend slavery into the Western territories by signing the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854. The Kansas-Nebraska Act established the territories of Kansas and Nebraska and determined that slavery in those states would be decided by popular sovereignty or the vote of the people living in those territories. This concept, known as squatter sovereignty, was designed to reduce tensions over the expansion of slavery and to give the people living in the territories a say in their governance. However, the Kansas-Nebraska Act was highly controversial and contributed to the growing sectional tensions between the North and South. Many Northern Democrats and abolitionists formed a group called the Republican Party to oppose the spread of slavery into the Western territories. In addition, the Act's provisions for popular sovereignty sparked violence and conflict in the Kansas Territory, as pro-slavery and anti-slavery groups migrated there. This conflict, known as Bleeding Kansas, was a prelude to the American Civil War and further exacerbated the divide between the North and South. Pierce also worked to reduce tariffs and increase trade with foreign countries. He signed several treaties with Latin American nations and sought to improve relations with Great Britain and other European powers. One of the most significant treaties that Pierce signed was the Gadsden Purchase, which was a treaty with Mexico that was signed in 1853. The treaty allowed the United States to purchase a large tract of land in present-day Arizona and New Mexico for $10 million. The purpose of the treaty was to provide a southern route for a transcontinental railroad and to resolve border disputes between the two countries. Pierce also signed the Treaty of Kanagawa, which marked the beginning of Japan's trade with the rest of the world after nearly 3 centuries of being isolationist. President Pierce, to buy Cuba from Spain, sent Pierre Sowell to negotiate. Pierre, a Southerner, in hope of acquiring Cuba as a slave state, was overbearing and wrote the Os N Manifesto, a document suggesting that the U.S. should invade Cuba if Spain was not willing to sell. There was an uproar in Europe and the northern states over this document, and the United States State Department was forced to wash their hands free of Pierre by saying they did not support his document. In addition, Pierce's presidency was overshadowed by personal tragedies, including the death of his son in a train accident and the illness and death of his wife. Overall, Pierce's presidency was marked by a series of political and personal challenges. His domestic and foreign policies were largely unsuccessful, and he faced criticism for the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act.